Boys, in this video, I want to talk about the years before I really found my footing in life. Like, not to say I figured everything out, but I'm comfortable where I am, not in a bad way. I'm very hopeful for the future. I'm in a nice apartment, drive a nice car. I've got great relationships, doing well in the dating respect, dress really well, have good values. And I'm not floating about life, I'm very set in my mindset, my opinions, my values, and that's where I want you guys to get to. But I also want to set an example of what it takes to get there. Because although, I'm a young guy myself, but I have got good life experience, I have got lessons to teach, and getting to this point has been difficult. It's been a rocky road, it's been depressing, and I want to put light onto that because I don't think anyone's authentic about it. When I was 14 till about 16, when you do storytelling, it's very hard to get the times right, but I'm gonna do my best. But when I was like a very young guy in my teenage years, I was a big degenerate. We just get out of COVID and I'm 117 kilos because I've just played video games, eaten junk food. But when we get out of lockdown and stuff, I'm back with my friend group. We've all grown up a little bit. We've been locked in our houses for a year. We end up partying all the time, doing drugs, smoking marijuana every weekend. It's not anyone's fault but my own, of course. But I've had enough. I've just been accepted to a really good, decorated sixth form college. I didn't last 2 weeks, guys. I was still smoking weed at this point. I remember a female friend of mine, she also went to this college. We go out one lunch break, we literally smoke weed in broad daylight, which I think is absolutely disgusting. Like, with my values now and my opinions, I think that is a disgusting thing to do, especially in a nice area that I live in. So we go out, smoke weed, and I've got one more lesson left because it's like a 2-2-1 split. So I've got one more lesson and that's public speaking. Luckily, I didn't have to speak in front of the class whilst I was fried, but I literally sit there the whole lesson like this. I have to tell the teacher that I was feeling a bit ill, so I should leave, I go home. I didn't ever go back to that school. I was ashamed of myself, and I knew I couldn't go through something that I was very passionate about, just smoking weed, partying all the time. I couldn't do that. So I tell my mum that I'm gonna move a bit closer to another part of our family, a place called Basingstoke. So I'm literally living on a sofa for about a year, and I'm working on a scaffolding yard, just throwing like 30 kg tubes onto a lorry all day. It was very tough. It's the hardest thing I've done. Other than probably being a head chef, which was different kind of exhaustion, but physically this was the hardest job I've ever had. So we're doing that, and yeah, I promised myself, because I'm into the whole self-improvement space, I promised myself as soon as I turn 18, I'm going to move out to Thailand. So that is what I plan to do. So I work all these months, I pack money away. These habits haven't disappeared in any way. I'm going to the gym consistently, but it's me against the world. These were good times for me, looking back. At the time, it felt horrible. These years felt horrible. But I was making some good decisions. I was at least doing a lot better than when I was around a load of other degenerates. And that's piece of advice I can give you guys. It's better to be alone than with people that are holding you back. I'm not some snob that says don't go out and party. A few times a year I'll go out clubbing. I enjoy myself, I think it's a good thing to do, to let go a little bit and enjoy your 20s. But when you're doing it every weekend, it's not good, guys. These 20s are where you need to make those positive trajectories out to the world. And this is what I did during these years. Well, a little bit more during Thailand and when I went back from Thailand. So anyway, 3 months before I planned to go to Thailand, I actually moved back to my mum's and meet a very close friend of mine who is someone I still speak to today. I even spoke to him yesterday in person. He's part of this networking group, and he's actually going out to Thailand the very same time that I am. So we worked together and we end up linking up in Thailand. So we do a bit of boxing, you know, like I'm still a fat kid at this point out in Thailand, but I was around the right people who really did a lot for my mindset, you know, improved my identity a lot being out there. Um, it allowed me to develop a bit of an ego in a good way. Like I was posting this all in social media, whilst everyone back home was still at like college and stuff and going to university, which like, just to make the point, I don't think uni's a bad thing. It's something I would consider in the future, but I think uni is a good thing. But for me back then, it was like, wow, I feel like I've got my own independent life now. This feels fucking amazing. I feel like I'm against the odds. I feel like I'm actually making some of myself. Now in Thailand, I actually have some amazing experiences. I get my first high ticket sales position it's a company that raises finances for different startups. So we were raising money from Australian investors for a startup electric bike company. The offer was shit, honestly. We didn't do too well, to the point where I literally run out of money. I'm having to beg, borrow, steal. I won't actually steal them, but I was borrowing money just to stay out there. It got to a point, we were living in Bangkok, I was just very low, I was very depressed. There's nowhere to go for a nice green walk, you know. I'm getting up at 5 a.m. every day, getting on the back of a bike, going to this huge house where we're doing all the cold calls. And just one day I said to my friend, I was like, mate, it's just us two here. I'm low, I'm out of money. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to borrow money and go back. And then I'm gonna have to borrow money when I actually get back on my feet again. And it's a horrible thing to do, having to borrow money. It's a shameful thing to do. My pride didn't like it. But sometimes you've got to do it, unfortunately. So I borrow this money, I have to stop off in China because I have to go the cheapest way. Somehow go back on yourself from Thailand is the cheapest route. So I end up landing back in the UK. And I land at the airport and I didn't even think about this in the plane. What is my plan now? Do I go back to Hertfordshire where I grew up and go back to my mum's? Or do I go back to Basingstoke and just start grinding again? I decided to go with option two. As much as I wanted to see my family, I didn't see them for another 2 months after that. I ended up going back to Basingstoke, working in construction for about a year, until I eventually moved back to my mum's and worked as a head chef. I had a few different jobs here and there in between this. This isn't like the exact story of my life, but when I moved back to my mum's, I become a head chef. And during these 2 years, I have my first boxing fight. I pack on loads of muscle. I get a good hold of really bad habits. And at the end of these 2 years, I just feel like a completely different man. And that brings us to now. During these last 2 years, all I've done is put money away. All I've done is cut out the things that are holding me back. Like junk food, like fapping, porn. These are things that disgust me. And I really well and truly believe when you get a hold of these things, everything else will fall into place. But I have just made positive trajectory after positive trajectory. It's been a rocky road. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I make 100% perfect decisions. I've still got flaws. I'm a young guy. I'm figuring it out still. But the transition from being a guy that's had nothing, that's never been able to get girls, to being someone that's probably slept around a bit too much, it's giving me that kind of validation. I'm at a good point in my life where things are going really well with business. I'm more than happy with my physique. Boxing's going really well. I'm forming amazing relationships. And I'm just at a point where I can really experiment, find my feet in life, you know? I'm trying to move away from that lifestyle where I'm just partying and sleeping with anyone to forming high quality relationships, and that's something I've worked on over the last year. this video has been a bit all over the place, but the moral and the message I'm trying to put forward is try and enjoy these years as much as possible, because when it was me against the world, although I'd often call my mum up and say, look, I've fucking had enough. I've fucking had enough. He's pissed me off at work. What am I going to do? It was literally just me against the world. I look back on those years and I'm so fulfilled. Work as hard as possible, guys, because you'll get to like a point where I am now and you'll look back and it's like, wow, I wish I stayed in that position for a bit longer, honestly. Like, obviously, it'd be a terrible business decision to drop this huge apartment and go live in a HMO again. But yeah, there's a lot of positivity in it. There's a lot of fulfillment in it. And that is where you make the real growth. Every decision I made living on a sofa has got me to where I am now. You know, it might feel depressing, but even if it's not like material gain, you're learning lessons, you're making mistakes, and yeah, it's making you a man, all this hardship. Great things don't come from comfort zones, guys. So if you've got any questions, feel free to send me a message and I'll be happy to help you guys out. But make sure to leave a subscribe. Thank you.